This is Kirk Hilliard.
Hey, this is Rusty Bird. It's the Kirk Byrd Show. We are here with two of the coaches that won their districts up here in Region 6B. So the Cardinal District and the Cedar Run District here in Prince William County. And so we've got Coach Sherman Rivers of Patriot basketball team. They just won not only the regular season, but the tournament district. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah. And we've got the coach Anthony Mills, who's the head coach. I believe it's his second year, the head coaching position there. And they won the district outright during the regular season, the Cardinal District, but they start their district tournament play this week. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys for having me.
Yeah. So we first of all, we always enjoy having you because you guys you're not just winners, but you guys have great personality, and we know the passion you have for your players and your programs. And you're both Potomac Panthers. You both graduated from there. Kirk, why don't you just tell folks where they can find us?
Coach Rivers and Coach Mills, they've already subscribed to us on YouTube. We know that. And then we'd like for you to follow us on Twitter at Kirk and Byrd. Pretty much all the other platforms, just Google us. And then we've got a forum on Facebook, 703-540 High School Sports. So yeah, check us out there. And this is a great time of the year. One of my favorites, especially with high school and college heading into the conference tournaments also.
We'll start with you, Coach Mills, about this season so far. I believe you guys are 1-2. You won the district. And so tell us about, just in general, how the season has gone, who those losses are to. But as you do this, kind of frame the season for us. Is this what you were, as you were going into the season? Is this kind of what you were hoping? So I don't know if this is kind of meets your expectations, surpasses it, or is not quite where you want to be.
Well, right now we're sitting at 22 just to finish out the regular season. We played some teams down in DC. We lost one game to Forest Park, and then we lost another game to a team out in North Carolina for the Christmas tournament. When you say expectations, I mean, it's hard when you're at Potomac. Expectations is like it's either NBA championship, college championship, or nothing at Potomac. So we're off to a good start. But the real test is getting ready to come up now, going into the district tournament, obviously the regional tournament, and if we get the opportunity, the state tournament. I knew I had a young group of kids that needed to get more experience. With me they were freshmen then, but having 6 sophomores that are sophomores now, we're just kind of really getting into our flow of things. My guys needed to play as many games as possible. So it kind of started in the spring for us all the way up until now. We're just trying to get them as many games to play. So does it meet expectations? I'm happy with what we have, what's going on right now. But it's now I'm going to see if it's really, going to meet the expectations that we have for our team and our goals.
Okay. All right.
Coaches. You got a young team. I mean, I'm going to talk about predicting a state championship. But were you even thinking about, because you're one of the best teams especially for public school in the DC metro area. And then for Class 6, which is a very, very good basketball conference. We talked about that before we started. Oscar Smith and, all the teams up here, Alexandria City, the old TC Williams. Did you expect, because you've got your sights set on, you guys get hot, you get to the regional finals, you're going to do the state tournament. You don't have to win the region like it used to be. I mean, Did you think when you talk to your kids, in the workouts and all that, did you think maybe you had a shot, or was this a young team where you're going to be like, let's see how we can do?
I knew we were, I mean, you never know going into the year. I know that the goal at Potomac is state championship, regional championship, district championship. So when you have those expectations and you have that already sitting there in front of you, as those are the things that you have to go get. It's not about just winning. It's about winning the right way and trying to accomplish those things. As Sherman, though, as a player there, and now what he's doing over at Patriot, that's just become the norm. So it was about putting a plan in place to get them to buy into what we're trying to do. And so far, it's working so far.
Forest Park was one of your losses, and you
Mhm.
played them again, and you beat them by 15. And then Christmas tournaments are always up in the air. You play some tough teams, but you're getting things going. But tell us about your team headed into the playoffs. Just give us an overview of what kind of team you are. There's going to be people watching this that aren't necessarily from Northern Virginia. Just give us an overview of some of your key players. I read up on them.
So we have Kenny the Guzman, who's playing really well. TJ Bethea, Peter Mitchell. We have some of my young guys like Harlem. He's only a 10th grader, and Ryden and Medwin. We got a transfer guy came in from Japan, big strong guy, TJ Reese. So we're overall just a good basketball team. And one thing we've been teaching the guys on a daily basis is like it's not going to be your night every day. And to be successful, win a state championship, we can't just have 1, 2 players scoring in their 20s. It has to be you got 10 here, you got 8 there, 9 there. So that it's a team effort that it makes us even harder to guard. So we're just a defensive minded group where we're defending, teaching the guys the way that we want to defend, and it's just been a daily grind and a daily process of trying to get those young guys to play like they're juniors in this early stage. And then a lot of some of them didn't play at all last year. So like I said, I had expectations, but I really don't know which way they're going to go when you're asking some kids to step straight into the spotlight and play.
Getting ready to turn it over to Coach Rivers. Thought last year Sherman had a very special team. And I thought I was extremely impressed with how that they turned up the defense in the postseason like nothing I've seen in high school basketball before. Like that they played. That was the most impressive part was the defense, and of course the heart that they showed against some teams that you might have thought, oh, well, I don't know about this one. But Coach Rivers, you don't have the same record going into the postseason in the regions like you had in the last 2 years, but you're much more battle tested. So tell us about this year's season thus far, and then some of your key players.
So I want to say first that we only got one more loss than we had last year.
Our production crew's falling off the battle.
So
yeah.
I mean, I know that, and I hear you guys say it a lot because I listen and watch the stuff that you all do, and it's sometimes we're victims of our own success. That Los and them and everybody like, oh, basketball's down Division VI, and no, what happened the 2 years previous was something that we never see. And a team that won back-to-back state championships with one loss in any other year, the team that we had probably would have had a chance to win back-to-back state championships because we were sitting there undefeated 2 years ago and then obviously having 3 losses last year. And then, somebody like Randy Bills over there with the Purple guys has to be kicking himself because he has a really good team. But then we're good, Hayfield's good, and South Lake's good. So you have all these teams that are pretty good. So I think that the basketball still is, a high level. Obviously, there's a little bit more down teams than it was in the past as far as like in the districts. But, I like the way that our guys have been going. Clearly, last year's team defensively was very special. You start with Nasir Coleman, Jay Randall, and Caden Bates, who by themselves are world-class defenders, but then you throw them on a team that has Isaiah Vick back there, cleaning things up and other guys that were contributing as well. So, we really did do a good job of stopping people. You fast forward to this year, now we have a team that can score 75 points in the blink of an eye. On days when I think we're playing terrible, I look up, we end up with 75. So, it's a lot different. One thing that we always see in the playoffs is that the scoring isn't as much as you see in the regular season, especially in those tight contested battles. And, the different games that we played throughout the season that were going to test us in those type of situations, all of those games, I want to say, other than the South Lakes game, were all lower scoring games. We had the Woodside game early in the season. It was our first game of the year. I think it was like their 7th at the time. That game was in the 50s and 40s. We played Hampton there, traveled down there. That was a 1-point loss. That was in the 50s. We played Grace Brethren up in North Point High School. That game was a 1-point loss. That was in the 50s. And then I'm trying to think. I'd say 1, 2, 3.
Archbishop Carroll.
Yeah,
Was it
Archbishop
yeah.
Carroll. I mean, that's a WCAC school with extreme talent. We just ran to a buzzsaw that day. So I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. I don't think that anybody's played a harder schedule than us in Division 6. Add in the travel and everything else that goes along with it with the opponents. I mean, the guys that I just named, Woodside's number 1 in their area, Hampton's number 1 in theirs, Grace Brethren's number 1 in their league right now, and then obviously Archbishop Carroll just being in the WCAC, which is arguably the best conference in the whole country. So, I was proud of the way our guys were able to compete in all those different games and things we were able to learn from that. I think it's made us better. It's made us more prepared for what's coming.
Coach, I totally agree. I'll let Kirk go in a second, but I'm just numbers-wise, like you said, it's just one more loss. But I know you the only teams you lost to that were on the public school are the odds-on favorites to win their class.
Correct.
Woodside, the defending Class 5 state champion, all right, and Hampton High School at Class 4.
Correct.
Like those are the 2 teams that are dominating everyone else they play. They're from the same district, but they're different classes. Right. So we said it before the season. Like, you loaded that schedule with these type of challenges, and I know it's done nothing but make you better. You beat quality teams along the way. You have a veteran team. I love what you got. But go ahead and tell us about some of those key players from this year's squad.
Oh, well, this year, I mean, we start with our big 3 guys, with Tay Barber, obviously, playing the way that he's playing. It's hard to say when you see a guy average 25 a game as a junior that he's playing better as a senior when his scoring's down 5 points. But, it's probably the most efficient 20 points that he's ever averaged in his life. He's shooting 60% from 2, he's shooting 40 from 3, 85 from the line. He's defending at a high rate now, so can't be, I definitely think that he's going to end up being district player of the year, but I'll tell y'all more. So after we have the meeting tomorrow, you never know with these guys. But so you have him, you have Isaiah Vick, who's having a great year, around 16-7, veteran guy, played a lot of minutes, won a lot of games, been in a lot of different battles. And, this is a kid who has never not won the district trophy in all 4 years that he was in school, so because he was on varsity as a freshman. And the same thing goes for Desmond Hopkins, who, was averaging around 12 points a game, had a really good game in our last one in the district championship, almost having a triple-double with 12, 8, and 8. He's played more point guard this year than he's done in the past. And I think he's done an excellent job of filling that role when we need him to. Then you talk about our other seniors. Ryan Keenan is another guy for us and Mekhi Dillard, both of those guys, as far as glue guys. I know people kind of use it in a negative connotation, but the things that they do for us are so important to what we're trying to do overall. I mean, Ryan is the type of guy that's probably going to take 3 charges a game. We can put Mekhi on the best offensive player. We can tell him to go get every rebound that day. If teams lay off of him, he can knock down an open shot, which he's done in games at Forest Park and Gainesville. First time we played them, they tried to make him the person to score. He ends up a double-digit score in both of those games. So, and then Abe Halim, who's been coming off the bench for us, is a guy that's instant baskets for that. And then we got some young guys as well. We kept 4 sophomores on varsity this year. Kai Wilcox, obviously freshman last year, played a little bit sparingly here. There has played more minutes. He's shooting over 40% from 3. Junior class-wise, we got Carter Crimity, who's been starting at the point for us as of late, playing very well. Jeremy Haddon's been coming off the bench, doing some good things for us. We got a lot of guys that are able to do some things at different times. Carson Cook has had some good times for us Mike Maines, another sophomore that's had some good minutes for us at different times. So I like our depth. Obviously, at this time of year, you're starting to shorten the roster a little bit because you got the guys that you trust and that are going to get it done. But I feel okay if need be, if we have to go deep into our bench in these situations.
Last year, you two met in the regional semifinals. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, how does the seeding go? Coach Rivers, are you automatically the number one seed in the region? Or because I know I was talking to Coach Overton, and because it came down, like it switched. He said that because
what happens
girls,
is each year the bracket flips. So last year we were at the top of the bracket. So no matter what, we were going to host all the way through. If you guys remember 2 years ago when we lost to the purple team, the only reason why we were able to host that regional championship is because they upset Woodbridge.
Right.
So
they beat, yes.
now this year we got a little bit different of an alignment. We have the 2 Commonwealth teams that'll be in our regional tournament this year.
Right. That's right.
And then so they get a 1, and then you have Anthem who was the 1 on that side. So if either one of them, which most likely, I'm thinking it'll end up being Anthem for sure, advances through, they'll be the host. And then if we can do what we're supposed to do on our side, we'll have to travel across town to go play that game. So, one game at a time. We got to worry about February 20th. I know he's still worried about the district tournament, but, we get to sit back and watch everybody kind of beat up on each other for a week and figure out who we're going to play by the time we get to Friday.
Okay, thanks. I'm glad you could explain that.
No, I'm glad you clarified that too, because Coach Rivers, your team has played an unbelievable schedule. Like Rusty said, we saw you play South Lakes, unbelievably impressive. I don't know that South Lakes played their best game, and I think we all agree upon that. So that's a little nugget.
Don't do that. We beat them.
I'm not discrediting. You guys played great. You guys played great. Every time they made a run.
Maybe they made them not play great.
There you go. I like that one better, Russ.
Right. Yeah. But I'll tell you, South Lakes is thinking about a rematch. But Coach Mills, how are you feeling about the fact that you're going into now every game? You're starting the district tournament, but a couple more games from now, you're going to be playing really good teams. I mean, how do you feel going in with the experience level? Your kids now really aren't that young anymore because they got a full year. So, I mean, how do you feel about the momentum and the state tournament being the carrot?
I feel good. I mean, because the game still got to be played. It has to be played. Obviously, we know what the other teams are like around in the area. But that's why we prep. That's why you prep for these games. That's why you put your teams in different situational drills while you're in practice. You break down film and you try to take away what we can from other teams to make them unsuccessful. So I think we'll be ready. I think we'll be prepped. Yeah, I understand that my guys are young. With like you said, I got all the sophomores that are sitting the bench, but I think they'll be ready because we started this journey in the spring, and only time will tell. Only time will tell, and that's everybody. That's one. Everybody has to stay healthy. Everybody has to shoot the ball well. And I think if we're going to be hot, this is the time. You always say you want to play your best basketball right now. So when it comes time for that, I think my guys will be prepped and prepared for it. Just by the games that they played so far, then everything that we do. Sometimes our practice is harder than games. So, we do a good job of really making it very intense. So when that time comes, we'll definitely be a lot more prepared this year than we was last year, in year one.
What is the one or two things that you need to execute upon? And I get it. You need to play well, cut down on mistakes or whatever, but is it shooting? Is it rebounding, maybe offensive boards? What's one of the keys of getting to that state tournament? I mean, I think you're going to get there, but it's going to be a tough road.
You got to do it all, and that's just as well as the opponents. The opponent has to be playing well. They have to rebound. We have to rebound. They have to make shots. We have to make shots. But traditionally, and just through our culture at Potomac, it's about getting stops. So if we get stops and we apply pressure, and you got to think about this. You got to come to us at our place.
Right.
It's loud, it's noisy. The gym isn't the same where it's a close atmosphere, everybody's impact, but you still got that atmosphere. And I think my guys will be prepared, when it comes time, for that run. Right now, we're just trying to get through the district tournament. We're playing these teams for the third time around.
So I've got a question for you all now. I don't know if it used to be different in terms of how it's set up. I thought it was, and I know football did it for Class 6, but the way it's set up is let's hopefully you both meet in the regional final. The winner would stay at home, and the loser would travel. Then you'd play, and if you keep winning, you could meet again in the state semifinals. Is that correct? Or did they switch it? Because the reason you would have done that is because they had A and B and C and D. And for the last couple of years, it's always been a Fairfax team in the state finals.
Well, I know they switched that. That's not the case no more. So
they did that for basketball too. Because I know they did it for football. Okay.
Now I can tell you the quarterfinal, but my superstition would let me look past that. So
I guess this is my question.
Quarterfinal wise,
I just want to know: can you two meet in the state championship?
I'm pretty sure that's what would happen now. Like it's back to the old way how it used
That's
right,
what I was. Okay,
the regional runner-up goes to the opposite side of the bracket, right?
Correct, which is how it should have always been.
Yes,
I think they finally switched it back because, if I'm not mistaken, we have the winner of our region has the loser of the South Lakes region.
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect. Okay.
And then obviously,
that's trending for James. That's trending for James Madison, and that's a great segue because I
don't know about that. I know y'all like them, but Wakefield's really good.
Oh,
yeah,
we know Wakefield's real good too.
Yeah, but I think Madison's better than Wakefield this year. I can say that.
And Marshall's got a tough team also, and that's funny because that's what I wanted to segue to.
Right.
Just to ask you a little bit about, when we talk, and Rusty and I talk about how popular football is, and the NFL too, but when it comes to basketball, Northern Virginia is like, like Richmond, and Richmond's a great basketball town, and 757 has 2 Hall of Famers, but Northern Virginia is loaded with great teams. Sure. Have y'all, Coach Mills, have you been able to see Alexandria City, formerly TC Williams, because they're a very good team?
I've been able to watch them some on film. We played them last year. And I think they beat us last year at our place, and they're talented. They're definitely a talented group of kids. I can't remember I think he's left-handed.
They got a big time player, pretty big time.
Yeah.
Like once Kai Robinson is the two guard,
Robinson,
and then Bivens is the point guard.
Right. Robinson was the one who gave us fits. And his brother last year. So he's. I've had opportunity to watch them, just watch some film, just watching games. They're definitely a good basketball team.
Yeah. Now, so one of those teams, Rusty, y'all could end up facing both of you if you're on opposite sides of the bracket, but you're going to be, because I'm picking you to go to the regional finals. But Rusty, so that would be the fact that they could face, definitely face one of those teams in the state tournament. As far as an Alexandria City, a West Potomac, Hayfield still, got a great shot. Coach Rivers, I mean, Hayfield has creeped up. They weren't as dominant, but Coach Poindexter's got a really good team there, and West Potomac's doing well. And there's a couple teams we're not talking about. Just for our viewers, especially the ones from 757, and we don't want to leave out Manchester. They're doing really well in Richmond, but tell us about some of the other teams that you know about, Coach Rivers.
I mean, you mentioned some of them. Like I said, I said earlier, everybody, for lack of better words, got spoiled by how good Hayfield was the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they're looking at this year's team is like, oh, they're not as good. Well, no, excuse my language. No shit, they're not as good.
Right.
Like they lost 1 game in 2 years. If they were still that good, we would need to start asking some questions.
Well, 16-6 is pretty darn good.
Right. So they're still very good, and they're very well coached, and they play really, really hard. And anytime you have that combination, in a team in the playoffs, because like I said, those kids might not have been the main guys, but they were on those teams that were making those runs. So they understand what has to go into it. So, I'm gonna start with them up there because until somebody beats them, I think it's them. And I'm sure Mike won't like that very much, but I'd say the same thing down here. Until somebody beats you, you can't say somebody else. Obviously, South Lakes is very talented, a very good team, very well coached, and has a very, very extraordinary player in Jordan Scott. So anytime you have a guy that's able to go off for 25 on any given night, that's something to be concerned about. And then you add the talent that's around them and the way that they defend. Like you guys mentioned, Madison and Roller always does a good job of coaching his teams. I don't think they have enough this year to do what they do in the past, but I just don't see it. Tony has done an excellent job with his team. They were young last year, and now this year they've got some more experience, and they got a transfer in that is like a dancing bear out there. Big guy with quick feet and very strong, and I think he was a district player of the year. You talk about just the Patriot district in general with Woodson, West Potomac, all those teams that are in that district, that they love to tell us how tough that district is all the time. So, but they got some really good teams up there. It's one of those things that, like, I know that, we've been there and we've had some good runs and we're having a good year this year, but you got to win the games. It's just and anything can happen in these situations. And, I think that Los's region, I think they're matched up with the Beach this year. So, that's a challenge within itself because Oscar Smith is still very talented. Lansdowne is still very talented.
And I just want to say this, hold on, y'all. They were great teams, and we were hearing all this stuff about them last year. But y'all beat them. I mean, people may not understand.
None of y'all thought we were.
True. Don't do that to us.
Maybe last time. But y'all were not thinking we were going to beat Oscar Smith.
That was excuse for football, man.
Just a pick.
So I remember, like I said, I watched and I listened. I don't say a whole lot, but then I knew what we had and I knew how we defended, and we made those teams look pretty bad. So it's one of those things that, like you said, you have to play the game. Like, everybody's got talent and everybody's going to be good at this time of year. You can't come in and be complacent.
I got a real quick question to clarify the standings. It's so hard to keep because basketball sends 2 teams to the state tournament. Wakefield is in the same region, I believe, as South Lakes.
Correct.
Okay, because they're going to be a tough out. We've only mentioned them one time.
That's why when you said Madison, I was like, nah, Wakefield is the second best team as far as record wise in that region this year, and I think they could do some stuff possibly, to put themselves in position to be one of those teams in a regional championship.
Coach, real quick. If South Lakes wins their region and you win your region, we're not saying that, Coach Mills. We're asking, it's hypothetical. Would y'all be on the same side of the bracket or opposite?
I think that we would have to play in the semifinal.
Oh, so you'd have to get through South Lakes.
I think
to get to Coach Mills because Potomac's going to run. Okay,
right. I'm pretty sure that's how it would have to be.
Right. Okay. Rusty, I was just real quick because we got a lot of people that watch from South Lakes football, and I was able to see South Lakes a couple times. You were able to see South Lakes, Rusty, and Coach Rivers. I know that you played them, and everybody's watched them, but they're more than Jordan Scott. I mean, Jordan Scott's a really good player, and I saw him play against Woodson. I told Rusty this. I said, if you walked into the gym and said, "Who's the kid with all the Power 5 offers?" I wouldn't have picked him. But when he played at Patriot, I saw his first step. I was sitting up higher too. I saw his first step, and I saw a lot of the footwork that he had, foot speed and all that. But they've also got another big. I think he's about 6'8", and he's a pretty good player. I like their guard. Just tell us real quick about South Lakes because they're going to be a team, on a mission.
I mean, listen, of course, Jordan Scott, everybody knows about him. The reason why people probably feel like that about him sometimes because what he does isn't flashy.
Right.
He's not on the spectacular plays. He's just making the right plays, and he does it super efficient. So then you look up, he's got 22 points, but he probably only shot the ball 12 times. So when you have somebody doing that, you kind of lose your respect for what they're doing. But in reality, what they're doing is harder than somebody that's shooting the ball 30 some odd times, because he is hyper efficient and very, very productive on a very good basketball team. But like I said, we start with that because he's the one that everybody knows about. I'm gonna be honest with you, their two guards are what makes that team.
I think it's zero.
It's Ryan Kennedy and Saul Vida.
I like him a lot.
So
a whole lot.
When those two got it going, they are very hard to deal with. And especially the point guard, because he defends, he does a good job of creating for other guys, doesn't shoot it as great, but especially when the Vida kid is making shots and he's really in it defensively, it just, like I said, we played him the night that we did and we shot the ball well and played well. And so, but the big kid that you're talking about, the Rochester kid, he's very talented. They also have another kid coming off the bench that's about 6'7" from New Zealand. That's pretty good. So, I mean, they got a lot of pieces, and they got two glue guys. And we're number 3 and number 4. I'm not sure of their names. Guards that play very well for them, do a lot of the dirty work, but make shots. And, so it's just one of those things, man. Like, they're a very talented team. They got that guy at the top, obviously, but everything else that they have is why they're as good as they are. And then obviously them having a very good coaching staff.
Well, I was going to ask you about your depth. How do you feel about your depth? Is your rotation 7, 8, 9? What is your rotation, Coach Mills?
What you said, Mills? You got it. Yeah.
Me? Oh, yes, I think we're rotating probably close to 9 right now. I think.
Oh, okay. So you got some
depth.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we're rotating close to 9, sometimes 10.
Okay.
And that all just depends on the situation and what's going on, foul trouble and
right.
scores and different things like that. But I think we're trying to play about 10 kids. It has tightening up a little bit later, so it's probably about maybe close to 8 right now. But we have those guys that are prepared just in case someone do get in foul trouble or something.
Right. And then the Class 6 has some good big men across the board. If you get to the state tournament, which I predict you will, how's your front court as far as size and your players in the front court? Your 3, 4, 5, 4, 5 mainly.
My 4 and 5 guys are about 6'5".
Okay.
We got 3 guys that are 6'5". The senior who transferred in, TJ Reese, and then we got 2 sophomores that are 6'5". And then we got one that just, I don't know if you guys have been catching his highlights, but he's just athletic as all get out. He can block shots. I think he's, dunked in every game, dunked on 2 people. So we have some athletic, guys. And the crazy thing about it is they're only sophomores really getting their first opportunity to display their talent. So I'm sure they're going to be up and ready to go and to deal with, whoever we have to deal with during the region time. So those are guys they'll be prepared. I know they're young, but they'll be really more than prepared to go.
You guys are football guys, Kirk and Rusty. He got 2 defensive ends in the post. You got 2 guys that should be rushing the pass.
Rusty, you're going to kill me because these 50-year-old stories real quick, and I'll tell it quick. I'm not good at telling quick stories. In 1985, Phoebus played Kempsville, who had a guy named J.R. Reed as a junior. We took 2 tight ends that were 6'5", 220, which was huge back then. Shut him down. He scored 6 points. So there you go. I had to put that one in.
What he got? 6'5", 225.
Yeah. All right, and I really appreciate you guys coming on. I know right now you're in coach mode, but I respect and appreciate that. I'm gonna get you all back. Not just when you guys can totally be just like we were when we talked about the Final Four, and y'all tried to give me grief, and we talked. So I appreciate the coach mode. I actually really, really do. Now, but before we go, I got questions. Two more. Back in the day, and it wasn't that much long ago, but we used to have these regional and state semifinal. Well, state semifinals used to be at VCU at the Siegel Center, and I know did they totally get away? Like, is that a thing that the regions decide? Because I know,
Patriot Center too for the region. The Patriot Center.
They haven't done that in years. No,
I know, but that was really cool.
that was cool. But Robinson is still it has been good. You know, when I've gone to regional finals and state semis there. Is that a regional thing that decides it, or even up to the state semis like last year? Is everybody going to just be playing at home?
Well, I know that you're not going to play at home. You can play at a neutral site. Just will be close to you.
Okay.
The whole college venue outside of the Final Four wasn't a thing for us in Prince William County. That was, you know, the guys playing at Mason. I used to be like, man, good for them.
So that was just Fairfax.
We're going to be playing at Garfield High School. You know
I think in 2005 we played George Wythe at the single center, and then the state championship game the next day. So I think it might have just started. It might have just started. It might have just stopped. And I don't know if it was because of COVID or.
No, they stopped it a while.
Stopped it way before that.
They stopped it because of money. They didn't want to pay that
money.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Because what they would do is, I remember I could go there and stay and watch like 8 games that day. It was 8 or 6 games, because I remember seeing the Potomac team. I think it was 05, and that was that when Woodside was really good and won state.
That's 2004.
Okay, 2004. Okay, but I remember just sitting there. But now, play 2 games, clear it out. You got to pay to come back in, clear it out. And I would I got in free anyway because I was an official. But man, they had food for us and everything, you know. But yeah, they changed all that. But that were really, really good times. They talking about money. They even did it for football this year. They have 2 games at the site, but after the first game, they cleared everybody out. And if you want to come back to the second game, you got to pay again.
What they don't realize is that they're hurting the casual fans when they do, because like you talked about, you watching all those games. I just remember, you know, when it was at Liberty one year and then the next year was at the Scope, is that being able to sit there and watch like single A, double A, and triple A games.
Yep.
And seeing teams that you never seen before.
There you go.
But
the arena's packed with everybody's fans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, like I said, clearly it's a money situation because it wasn't a fan decision. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Rusty, before we go, because these guys know a lot, and Coach Rivers, you played Woodside. You know, I'm predicting that a Northern Virginia team is going to win the state championship, and
in 6.
One of them, in 6, and one of them's coaches is one of these guys. That's my prediction. But 5, you played Woodside, okay? And then I've seen Potomac Falls play. They're 22-0, and Spotswood, which is down in Harrisburg.
Just answer.
The only 2 undefeated.
Ain't no way.
I know. And Coach Halls, I love Coach Halls. I love that team. I'm going to watch them play probably on Friday night. However, I think the 5 is coming from 757. It's going to be Woodside. Sure. It's going to be Maury. There's the Kings Fort down there. But real quick, what'd you think about Woodside? That's a great team. I think they only have 2 losses. I
mean, listen, clearly they got a lot of talent. I really like, I forgot his name now, their big guy with the dreads, light-skinned kid.
Right.
He's really, really good. And the things he does for them make it so those guards can be free and gamble and do the stuff that they do, because he cleans up everything on the glass. He's going to get every rebound. He's a great passer. He's not selfish, so he's not demanding the ball in the post all the time. He just but he can score it in the post if you give it to him. So, the fitness that he did over the summer, because when you saw him in the summertime, he's a little bit chunky. And when we saw him in December, he's slimmed down, all good to go. And so I just think that he's a very special player. They have a very good roster. I mean, they have a guard that I don't even think he starts as one of their better ones and shoot the basketball. So, it's going to be very hard to beat them. And obviously, Maury's very good, but I saw one of their games was super low scoring. So, it's one of those things that if Woodside gets to the press and the things that they do, they have a chance to do some stuff.
Yeah.
And then let's ask him about 4 also, because he played Hampton. But
right, that's what I was going to do.
We didn't mention LC Byrd. LC Bird's 19-1. And, Richmond area basketball is very, very strong. I mean, they've got, was it James River down there? And by the way, they play Fleming and Patrick Henry, 2 great basketball programs. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned LC Byrd. But you also played
we're actually supposed to play
Crag
this year. We're supposed to play LC Byrd too. The game just didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So talk about Hampton, because Hampton is up there. There's some really good 4 teams. Potomac Falls right down the street from me. What'd you think about Hampton? You played them in the gym.
Another thing, going in their environment, hostile environment, those gyms down there are smaller, and there's going to be some sort of DJ there, and it's going to be loud.
Yeah, they have a really small gym.
But it's crazy enough. My godfather lives right down the street from there. So my god sisters went to school there. One of them's actually the track coach there now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So walking in that gym and seeing the 1997 state championship team made me want to throw something, because I knew we were the team that beat us, to get that picture up on the wall. But they're very, very talented. I think they got a good group of guards. They got the big guy inside that can catch and finish and rebound. Another very well coached team by E down there. It's just one of those things, man. It's who they're going to get. I think Kings Fork is Division 4 as well. All those teams just beat up on each other throughout the season. So whoever's left standing at the end is probably the one that's just the most healthy.
Fork moved up to 5. It's so hard.
Oh, they moved up to 5? Okay.
Yeah, they went up to 5. But, you've got Tuscarora, you've got Hanley, Woodgrove is a team in 4, but Varina's won state championship, so that Hampton team is going to be tough. So it's going to be fun to watch, guys. That's for sure.
For sure.
So and I was going to say, Hampton's only 2 losses are to Woodside. We did have one last question. I don't know if you guys want to address it, but it was just this: could either of your teams that you have right now have competed with some of the best Potomac teams from back in the day?
No.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably not.
You'd be in jail for child abuse.
That's a whole nother animal.
It really is. It's just a whole different beast. And I know that they want to talk, and it's really been only one team in the area I think could have dealt with any of the teams we had back in the day in the last 10 to 15 years, and that's the 2014 Potomac team. That's really it. Maybe my team last year, because we had a toughness to us that, those Potomac teams couldn't have punked us like we did to everybody. But I'm telling you, man, you talking about Division I talent, mental and physical toughness, very well coached. Kids got mad at me the other day because I told them I was 100 times better than all of y'all. So I don't know what y'all talking about.
And you were. And I'll say this too. One of the things people don't, think about it, they were like, oh, we got all these divisions. But the reality is we didn't have all these schools, so the kids, there was no freedom. There was, I don't know, maybe freedom.
No freedom, no Forest Park.
No Forest Park.
No Battlefield, no Colgan.
No Colonial Forge.
Right,
no
Patriot. Right. So to make those teams, it's not football where you can have 60, 70, 80, 90 kids. To make a squad of 12 to 15, you had to be able to ball. And like you said, you guys put out multiple big-time basketball players. So I thought that would be an answer. And I'm not just saying I agree because I'm old school too, but that's just a fact. It's just a fact, bro. Okay. All right. But I just wanted to see if you were going, hey, my team's all, we could beat anybody. But you're just keeping it real. You're keeping it real.
No,
so,
I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. So
that's a whole nother beast.
Yeah, no doubt. That would be like, so this is where they would have a chance if y'all teams combined. Like if you did something like, if you put your best, 6 from each team, and then we talk. But
I still don't think it'll work.
I don't either.
I expect either of them to say anything different there,
No, that's cool.
We're looking at right here. Look, possible Class 6 State championship right here.
This, I'm biased, but I'm keeping it. This is who I want to see in the Siegel Center. And then I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it. I'm not saying who I want to. I'm just gonna enjoy it. All right. So this, I'm straight up.
On South Lakes. Don't sleep on South Lakes.
One, yeah, I'm not. But these are the teams I think not only I want to, but I think will be there because they're that good. They are that good. So
we appreciate y'all. Don't be putting y'all bulletin board up material because of what they said. Me and Mills didn't say nothing.
We didn't say nothing. Hey, I just been on here because I'm a fan. That's all.
You know what? I'm going to repeat this real quick because a little snippet for my buddies down in Sterling, Virginia, right down the road. You said there's no way Potomac Falls could win 5. That's a little bulletin board material because I will back you up. When they get out of the region, they're going to have some problems, and they got some great players there. But that's a little bit. But, you know, that's why we play this game. And, by the way, Coach Hall's won back-to-back. I think it was 9 or 10 and 11. So they've got a good tradition there. But
they've been very good. And I remember when I was coaching at Potomac, we were Division 5. That was one of the teams that we had to worry about in the playoffs. I just think that Woodside teams are completely different animals, something they have never seen.
Yeah. They got a nice kid, that's 6'7", Margano. He's like a combo guard, more of a 3, but he's fun to watch. But yeah, I think that for Northern Virginia, both 4 and 5, it's not real good when they get out of the region. But for 6, it's very good. So looking forward to that.
Sure.
One thing I will say, this, and we don't have a rival between us, but you'll see us two play each other for a long time. He's still young, I'm still young, so we'll continue to do and battle, like some of the coaches that came before us, and just keep building tradition on top of tradition.
Yeah, and listen, one thing for sure, a lot of people, they don't, they always want to believe that all coaches don't like each other. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a good amount that I don't care for, but. Ant's one of my close friends. We talk all the time. Yeah. It's going back before, he was even at Potomac, when he used to be the girls coach at Battlefield. He was one of the people I called when I was interviewing about if this was going to be a good fit with me coming over to this side of the county. So, I always wish him well, except for when they play us, and
that's how it's supposed to be.
Same thing I tell Los. Me and him are really cool as well. So.
Right.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I was going to say this. Coach Mills, I think for psychological reasons, if you meet Patriot in the regional final, I think you would be better off losing to Patriot than going and playing them again in the championship. I just think for momentum and things.
For momentum.
Talk to you about a team.
Save that, Kirk. Save that once they get there. Save that analysis and when they get there.
I think Coach Rivers knows. Coach Rivers knows this as well as I know. Winning ain't something that's in our losing ain't something that's in our DNA.
Nah, she's gonna try to make it happen for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm pulling for you, and I'm praying that y'all can stay healthy, and get to where you're supposed to be. Because I think y'all have the team, you have the coaching, and you have the fans and family support that I think that's going to be required. So, look, for Coach Rivers, Coach Mills, and my co-host Kirk Hilliard, this has been the Kirk Byrd Show covering Prince William County and Class 6 basketball. We are out.